Good morning. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2020. This week's Parsha is the Parsha Midbar. And this week's Parsha, the beginning of the fourth book of the Torah, Midbar, is almost always the Parsha that is read on the Shabbos before Shavuos. There are a few years where it's an exception, but almost always this Parsha is the introduction to the Yom Tov of Shavuos that comes up next week. And the book begins, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe. Hashem says to Moshe, Midbar Sinai, in the Sinai desert. Rav C. Hirsch Weinreb points out that, a desert is a place that is empty and confusing and frightening. And a desert is a wasteland. And the question is, why is it that the Torah would be given in a desert? Why choose this type of geographical location of a desert? Now, I've discussed this with you before, and I've given several answers before, but I want to share with you a new approach today. Because as you read the Parsha this week, what you notice is that, yes, it is set in a place of disorder and confusion and chaos, a midbar, a desert. But the narrative of the Parsha is of order and organization. The Jewish people are divided into 12 tribes. Each tribe has a certain area within the camp that it is supposed to live. There is a census of each tribe so that we know exactly how many there are. And then we are told that there's an order in which they camp, how they situated themselves around the camp. And then when they traveled, we learn there's an order and a progression, a procession about how they moved. The theme of the Parsha is making order in the midst of chaos. And the truth is that the theme that we see unfolding in the beginning of Midbar, order, that is a reflection on a human scale of an earlier divine narrative, the very beginning of the Torah. The Torah starts off, tohu vavohu, chaos, emptiness, lack of order, lack of clarity. And then, from that unformed and void beginning, which is empty and desolate, from tohu vavohu, Hashem creates order. Vayera vayivoker, every day of creation, Hashem creates more organization, more order, and that culminates in the creation of man and woman. And then, once that is done, the creation of Shabbos. So what you see within the process in Bereshis, order from chaos, is then repeated on a human scale in Midbar, order from chaos. And those two narratives, the divine one on the one hand and the human one on the other hand, are explicitly linked by our sages. In Bereshis, the Torah tells us what God did in creation every day of the week. So it will say, for example, Vayera vayivoker yom sheni, it was evening, it was morning of the second day, the third day, the fourth day, until it gets to Vayera vayivoker yom ha-shishi. And it was evening, it was morning, the day of the sixth day. Why is there a hey hayadia? Why is it the specific sixth day, unlike the other numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Our sages tell us the sixth refers to a specific sixth day, the sixth, a future sixth day, the 6th of Sivan, the first day of Shavuos. In other words, the process by which God creates the world is going to be repeated and connected to the human process by which the Jewish people approach Mount Sinai and eventually come to receive the Torah at Mount Sinai on Shavuos. And therefore, this Parsha Bamidbar and what it leads to, the giving of the Torah at Sinai, surrounded by the desert of Sinai, is meant to guide us towards our mission in life. Our work, though, like God's work, is never complete, because chaos and emptiness always tries to reassert itself. We say in our prayers about God, Hamachadesh betuvo b'chol yom tamim maseh v'reishis. God, in His goodness, renews the act of creation every single day, because the original act of creation is not enough. It's got to be sustained, because the chaos comes back. So you have to again impose order on it. And chaos is always trying to come back. Emptiness is always trying to come back. So God has an ongoing process of creation, of maintaining that order. And the same thing happens to us. No matter how much order we have in our lives, no matter how structured our lives are, chaos comes back. Emptiness comes back. Tohu and vohu come back into our lives, as we see today. And when that happens, we have to return to the Midbar. We have to return to the desert, to the place of chaos, and then we have to approach Sinai. We have to utilize the structure that is offered by the mitzvos given to us at Sinai in order to reassert that order in our lives. And so therefore, that's really what life is about. Life is not about attaining a level of comfort and order and structure and having it remain like that for all time. Life is about the struggle on God's part, so to speak, as if to apply the words to God, but certainly on our part to be able to maintain that order through the mitzvos, to be able to confront chaos and desolation and disorder and create from it order and meaning. And the blueprint of that order and meaning is the Torah that we receive at Sinai on Yom HaShishi, the sixth day that was originally linked to the original sixth day. That's why this Parsha is always the introduction to Shavuos, because it gives us the blueprint of how to be able to confront Midbar, confront chaos, and then to be able to subdue it with order and constructive life through mitzvos and through a connection to Hashem. I want to wish for you, wish for me, that this season of the coming of Shavuos next week should be a time when we are able to build that structure and that order through the mitzvos and through contact with Hashem to beat back the chaos, to beat back the tohu vavohu. My friends, I wish you all a great day.